Anti-Society, welcome back to the Anti-Social Planet, and today we are checking out episode 5 of Tomodachi Game. So, the last episode we got a little bit of a shift in perspective. We were spending a lot more time with Tenji and his internal monologues, his thought process, how he was interpreting the other people in these games, his friends, I don't know how much they're friends at this point, and how he was processing the games and maneuvering in them and stuff like that, which I thought was a really nice way of shifting things, not only to give us a different perspective than Yuichi, which is what we were kind of sticking with for a lot of this, but also because Tenji has had this facade, and once we learned that it is a facade, it's not really who he is, we don't have a good idea of who he is as a character anymore, and we need to fully go into who he is. So getting that from his perspective, I think, was a really good way of making sure that the audience knew who he was and how he thinks about things, while also allowing them to see the characters from a different viewpoint, which I really like, especially for Yuichi, because like I said at the end of my last reaction, he didn't really show up. He was very in the background. He had a few little moments of him interacting with people. We did have the slap, which I think is fairly significant, but he did seem to be very quiet and in the background and unintrusive, which is not what you think of when you're getting the story from his perspective, because you're getting all of the story filtered through him, so he seems very important. And of course we know that he is processing his way through these games in a very intuitive and intelligent way too. I have had some ominous comments on my reactions telling me that I don't fully know who Yuichi is yet, and it will be explained to me, so I'm sure that will blow my mind at some point. But getting to see that from other people's perspective, he is very quiet, he is very unassuming, he is more a wallflower as opposed to someone who is more active in the conversations. So getting to see him from that shift in perspective, I thought was a really interesting way of seeing how Yuichi also has this facade of how he likes to present himself to people. Maybe not quite as sinister as Tenji, but again, I say that tentatively, given that people have hinted that there is probably something else going on with Yuichi, and I just haven't found out about it yet. But more importantly, we found out that Shibe probably killed somebody. That seems to be the thing that was revealed about him. We learned that his dad is pretty shady and deals with a lot of criminal stuff. Yeah, that was something that I wanted some more background for, but we kind of left off the episode. So I hope that we're going to get some more context for that, and I'm going to get some kind of answers, because I feel like that is not something that we should just breeze past. I would like for us to take a moment and fully explain what exactly that is, because I was like, well, a kid of a criminal, you can't really help who your parents are. I feel like I would be more forgiving of that in that circumstance. I've never been in that instance, so I don't know how I would behave, but I can forgive a child for having a crappy parent, because you don't get to choose that. The murder is where I draw the line, though. I feel like I need a full explanation of what exactly that was about. So hopefully we get into some of that, and I feel like Yuichi has something he's scheming. There's something going on. I feel like something that triggered the slap and the way that he is behaving with everything. I just feel like there are some layers. We don't know what he said to Yutari, which triggered some kind of reaction from her. She still seems to be helping him out, but I don't know what he said. Maybe she's part of the plan, or he has said something else to have her on his side. I'm not really sure, but I feel like because we didn't hear it, it is something sinister, or there are some layers to why exactly he said it. Otherwise, they would have just let the audience know what that conversation was about. So I have so many different things that I would like some more background on, but let's just get into episode 5 and see what other craziness ensues. In 3, 2, 1, go. No. She's not something for you to own. I don't know how to tell you. She's not a position, she's a person. Robbed you of what? Come again? Ooh, I like the difference in the auras behind them, because you have the red with Yuichi and kind of this more manic expression, and then the blue with Tenji in a more subdued outside, and I feel like that plays into the fact that they both have like these facades of like how they choose to present themselves to the outside world and then who they actually are. And I feel like Tenji is more, he seems more manic. Maybe he isn't. Again, a little bit of ambiguity about what exactly is going to happen with Yuichi. Um, but I feel like Yuichi is more inclined to outwardly show who he is. Whereas like Tenchi, I feel like he very much is putting on a character because he wants to manipulate the people around him. I don't know about Yuichi though. Just because I feel like I sort of know who he is, I'm like, because there are moments when I'm like, I don't think I know. I might know nothing, you know? I've been proven wrong before. Yes, I would like us to continue with this a little bit. Wouldn't they, don't they know though? Doesn't the game have like a built in, I don't know, BS meter? How do you do that? It's fair. It's a very good chance that there wouldn't be any proof of it, right? Because of who his dad is. Oh dear. I don't know if they will believe him. Nope. That's not gonna sway it. Yeah. I was like saying your dad takes care of stuff is not a good way to make them believe that you haven't done something awful. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, I don't think they'll believe him regardless. Ooh, that's an interesting line. The speaker is more important than the words. Sometimes it is, though. So is it all a lie then? From probably Yuichi? It does raise doubt, though. It's like, what if other things that have been said aren't true, or like stuff in the future people say? It might not be true. He's like reuniting them because he's like, well, someone is making stuff up, so it puts doubt into whether or not the things before this are true and how true they are, which you've already seen that they're kind of sensationalized. Like the things that are written down aren't exactly the truth, they're like oversimplified to make them seem more dramatic. Have we now? Is there a good strategy? At least to win this game? I mean, it wasn't supposed to be fair. None of the games are fair. True. Ooh, that's interesting. Wow. That means they all have to move at the same pace then, and they would cancel everything out, wouldn't they? Hmm, interesting. That's interesting. That's an interesting tactic. I like that. It's like if you start to try and maneuver, they'll know because you'll be the one that isn't bad-mouthed, right? I like that he's like not completely losing hope on the idea of them working together. I like that, especially since I said before, I'm like, I don't see them reuniting as one group anymore. Especially since it paints Yuichi in a very good light that he's trying to bring the group together. Mm, nah, I don't think that's a good idea. I feel like he's being a tad over dramatic, but maybe that's just because I know who Tenchi is. Pressuring him isn't a good idea. Oh dear. Did someone put in more than one card? I'm assuming Tenji. It's a good point of you don't necessarily have to only submit one card, right? the symbolism of that. At least he's trying, though. And at least this way it's like Tenji's like proving your plan isn't gonna work, so you should just tell us who the traitor is. Final? I don't know. I feel like this is gonna be something we continue to deal with. I feel like Yuichi's got some kind of backup plan. I feel like he's gonna say, oh, it's a good point. I don't know, but like at least Yuichi was trying. Don't do it. Ugh. I feel like Yuichi has a backup plan. What did exactly did she take? Oh no. So it ended with Shiho at the end? Mm-hmm. Very, very melodramatic. I'm waiting for Yuichi. I'm like, I feel like there's something. His eyes keep being in shadow, so I feel like he's got something going on. What happened? What did we see? What's going on? Mm-hmm. Mm. Oh. Oh. But only if they all agree, right? Look at him deducing things. That's interesting. It's true. Oh dear. Already, even Yoichi's like, I guess we can't all be together then. Oh dear. How are you gonna get out? I want to know if he'll get around it some way again. Interesting that he like legitimately waited it out. And the thing is, they would either agree to his plan before and have it work out, where they like moved more together, or they would have gone against his plan and gotten to this point anyway. He's got a backup going on. Mm-hmm. He's becoming more and more erratic in his actions, though. Just dancing. I don't know if you're good at acting. I'll start crying. I mean, I want to know what she saw on the screen, though, and she was like, rewind it. Did he tell them not to write anything? When Tenji went first? And then he told them not to write anything? Mm-hmm. I wonder what Yoichi said to them, though. Oh dear. Oh, that's a little terrifying. Oh dear, look at that face. He's scaring me too. I don't want to agree with Tenji, but I'm also scared of him in this instance. Oh? ominous, like, organ music, though. I feel like I gotta go back now. I feel like they might summarize it for me, but also I feel like I have to go back and be like, what are the clues? Because I feel like that's part of the thing where they were like, in the last episode, Yuichi was like, Tenchi, you go first. And I was like, okay, they knew that he had to be out in the box for 3 minutes exactly. So there's always a time whenever they go to submit their cards where there's 3 minutes where Tenji is in the little box thing to submit his card and the rest of them aren't with him. So they could have talked to each other. Created drama. Passed information between each other. I'm just saying. I'm very curious about how far back it goes, because she says since the second round. Because it seems like they all were in on it, to some extent. I'll have to wait and see, I guess. I'm like trying to think back and like remember, but I don't know if I will be able to. I always want a preview. While I was definitely expecting there to be something that Yuichi was working on, like even when I said before, I'm like there are moments where I feel like he's working on something, talking about something, especially with the slap. I was like the timing was too perfect, especially since they knew how long Tenji had to be in the like little booth thing because he tried to leave earlier and then they were like, oh, I can't leave yet, I have to wait for the 3 minutes. So they have to wait 3 minutes every time, regardless of how much time they spend thinking of what they're going to write down. So they knew exactly how long he was going to be in there and they could time the slap right at the moment when he came out of the booth, and I feel like that was too lined up for there not to be something else behind that. But I thought it was just something that like Yuichi was working on and maybe with Yutari, but I didn't think that it would be like all of them in on it, and I don't know at what point they all decided to be part of it, if that had anything to do with the secrets that are being passed around, like if it was orchestrated to have that all work together. Like I don't know at what point that happened. I would love to know, especially since we had like Shiho talking to Yuichi at the end of the first game and they had the little moment of them like, should we figure out who it is? Should we not figure out who it is? But deciding to trust each other. And then we had whatever Yuichi said to Yutari and I was like, we didn't get to hear it, so there has to be something in that. The only thing I'm wondering about is when Shibe was kind of brought in to the fold. So I feel like there were lots of those little moments to like have hints that Yuichi was definitely working on something, but I didn't know how much he was like bringing the rest of the group with him. And I don't know at what point he knew that it was Tenji. Like I don't know what tipped him over to know that there was something to look into and then navigate into getting enough information to know that it was going to be Tenji. So I mean, we got told as the audience and I didn't figure it out until I was told point blank. So I thought maybe there was something going on with him when he was like lurking outside of the classroom when Yuichi and Shiho were like talking together, but I didn't know if it was as sinister as it ended up being. So I don't know at what point Yuichi was like, Tenji's got something going on. Did he just find out that there was something in relation to the games that they're playing and like who applied for the games? Or was he aware that Tenji was doing something before then? Because we know that Tenji has been planning all of this in advance. So did Yuichi have information before this happened that made him think that that was what happened? So I would love for there to be some kind of flashback. I feel like there is going to be, where we like jump back and they explain what exactly happened. So maybe we'll get that in the next episode. I would love it. I might have to go back and rewatch some episodes because I love to know before the narrative tells me, and I want to try and pull as much as I can. So maybe that's something I will do and pull out clues, especially since I've had to wait for a week in between episodes to watch them. So there's been time between episodes. So watching them like back to back might be a way of me getting more information out of it, but we'll see if I actually have time to do that. I would love to. It's a great fantasy to think of. Whether or not I'll be able to, I don't know, but we're getting into so much. There's so many different things connecting together and so many different theories and betrayals and misinformation, and I don't even know what to think anymore, but I'm so invested. You can click this playlist to go and see my previous reactions, or you can subscribe so you don't miss the next time I post a Tomodachi game reaction, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!